The demonstration you see in this video today may not match perfectly with the way your agency has been configured, but this video will give you a good demonstration of the most common roles and responsibilities for LEAPS users. In this video, we are going to look at the primary roles and responsibilities of trainers in our system. Most often, those 5 roles are going to be the ability to set the training calendar. It's not something that trainers do too often in our system, but we can configure your system to give trainers the ability to set up the training calendar. That's where you're matching up a trainee with a particular trainer for a specific set of days. We do have that ability to set that up for trainers. They can also fill out evaluations. That's a very common role or responsibility. Acknowledge or participate in checklists that have been assigned to the trainees. You can assign tests, and you can also grade tests. So those are some of the core roles and responsibilities that we're going to be covering in this video today. So to get started, I'm going to log in as my test trainer. I'm going to sign in here, and we're going to land on the dashboard. Now the dashboard is basically your home page that shows you time-sensitive tasks that require your attention. For trainers, most often the only thing you'll see on your dashboard is tests that need to be graded. Most evaluations are filled out by the trainer, so we won't really see many evaluations needing to be acknowledged by trainers because they're the ones usually filling out the majority of evaluations. So the trainers will most often only see tests on their dashboard. We'll come to those in just a minute. One of the first key roles and responsibilities that trainers sometimes have is to set the training calendar. So I go over here to this training tab. You might call it the training calendar tab. And you can see your personal schedule as a trainer. You see the trainee that you're working with, the dates that you're working with them. So this looks like it's a Monday, Wednesday, Friday sort of thing. The hours and who the supervisor and administrator are overseeing that partnership. Now from there, most LEAPS systems don't give trainers the ability to update or change or substitute or make adjustments to this calendar. But this particular one today is configured to give a trainer the ability to update something if something's wrong here, maybe change the date, maybe change the name of the subject of the training or the supervisor or administrator. They can substitute. So if you have like a long, well, let's set one up here. Let's go assign this trainee. We'll pick a different trainee. We'll say recruit Richard. We're going to say week 2 training. And we'll say it's next week, January 2nd through January 6th. And we'll say it's from 7 o'clock in the morning to 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And we're going to say it's still myself, Teresa Trainer, supervisor, administrator. I'm going to create this record. So now look, this is my personal schedule. I'm with Recruit Rachel for 3 days this week. I'm with Recruit Richard for 5 days next week. But let's say you're middle of the week next week, and all of a sudden you hear that Sharon Supervisor is unavailable to do the reviewing duties of a supervisor. So we're going to hit substitute. Or maybe even yourself. Maybe you have to step out on a day off. You can go ahead and select a new trainer and even a new supervisor if you need to. You can select the day that's being altered, so like middle of the week, let's say. And we'll hit update. And now look at what it did to this right here. Now this is my personal calendar as Teresa Trainer. And we have Monday, Tuesday, where I'm working with Recruit Richard. There's a break where Wednesday has now disappeared because we assigned it to a different trainer. And then Richard Recruit returns to me on Thursday and Friday of that week. So a substitution allows you to easily break up a long pairing or partnership that's set over the course of many days, and allows you to easily break that up when there's a substitute in either the trainer position, the supervisor, or the administrator position. So this is the training calendar. Most often you can only see your calendar. In this configuration, the trainers are actually allowed to update their own calendar as well. The next major role of a trainer is to fill out evaluations on the trainees that they are working with. If you are assigned as a trainer to work with a trainee for at least 1 day on the training calendar, you then have the ability to fill out an evaluation on their performance. So I'm going to hit fill out evaluation. I'm going to select the evaluation that I'm looking to fill out today, which for this one we'll go and do a common daily observation report. You can then select which phase you are working in, the name of the trainee that you are working with. It's going to show you the dates that you're working with that trainee, and you can say, I am filling out a DOR for our work performed yesterday on the 28th. And you can see here that after I fill out this evaluation, it's going to tell me the individuals that are going to be acknowledging or approving this evaluation after it's complete. Now, some systems have this locked down so that you can't change it, but other systems are configured so that you can change the supervisor that's going to be acknowledging this evaluation. But most of them are usually locked down. So I'm going to go ahead and hit create, and it's going to pull up our daily observation report. At the top, you can see who's being evaluated, what type of form we're working with, the period of the dates that are being evaluated, and the phase. Now, down here below, we have the different categories that we're going to be rating the performance of our trainee. Now, these are pretty standard categories, and a 1 to 7 rating scale is pretty standard, but yours might look different, and every evaluation looks different. Now, if you want, we can configure your system that for low ratings, it requires a comment or a note over here on the right for why you gave that trainee that particular score. But that's all configurable, so every single evaluation is pretty much different. That notes column to the right-hand side does only allow you to put in like 150 characters or something. It's not super long. So you're going to probably want to add the majority of your notes in some sort of field down at the bottom of your form. You want to make sure that you have additional space for comments and a narrative. If your system allows to, we also have the ability to put in descriptions for each category so that the trainer and the trainee know what is being reviewed in that particular category. You can also see rating explanations, which show what does a 1 look like in that particular category, or what does a rating of a 4, or what does a rating of a 7 look like. These are definitions that have to be provided by your agency. So if you don't see them in here, it's because they weren't loaded in. Down at the bottom, here's some other common elements that we see with DORs is the ability to identify areas up above of most satisfactory performance. And you can create some notes on why you selected those. And then you can also have usually a section on areas of least satisfactory performance and some notes on that. This particular DOR allows you to provide notes on documented situations and then gives them one additional box for additional narrative. With all evaluations, you'll have the ability to add external attachments, say a Word document or a PDF or an Excel document, to be a part of the official record of this evaluation. So that's how you fill out an evaluation. Once you've completed the evaluation, you can go to the evaluation section here and see other evaluations that have been filled out. Now, this second one right here is the one that we just completed. It was filled out on Rachel's performance, and we can see the order or the acknowledgement flow of this evaluation. You can see that this one down here has been acknowledged by the trainee and the supervisor, and it's waiting for the administrator to give the final sign off on it. This one from a day later actually shows that the trainee has already acknowledged it, but this one right here has no acknowledgments on it. So as these parties acknowledge this evaluation in this order, you will see date stamps next to their name, showing that they've acknowledged it. Checklists are another key role or responsibility for our trainers. Now, if you've been assigned to work with a trainee for just one day, you'll have access to all of their checklists, every single one of them. And so we can see here that we are assigned to work with Rachel and Richard, so we have access to both of their checklists. So if I go to Rachel's, I can see, let's go to page 2. You can see the status of these are all pending. But if every single item on the checklist has been marked off, the status will change to completed. So, for instance, I can open up this completed checklist and see that I think there's 6 items on this one. All 6 items have been marked off as discussed by both the trainer and the trainee, and all 6 items have been marked off as demonstrated by the trainer and the trainee being Rachel. This is Rachel's checklist only, no other trainees. There might be multiple trainers, but it's for one trainee, and that's Rachel. So this checklist is actually marked as completed. It's done. There's nothing else to acknowledge on it. Now, a different one, let's go back to page 1 here for Rachel. I can go to this very first one and see it still as pending, and when I open it, I can see that Rachel and I have completed a good majority of these items. In fact, Rachel, the trainee, has actually acknowledged every single one of them at this point. She beat me to it to a degree. And I have some remaining check boxes that I need to mark off as having discussed and demonstrated these 4 items. Once I do that and hit submit, now this checklist is marked as completed as well. So when every single checkmark box is marked off by both the trainee and the trainer, then a checklist will be marked as completed. I will say that checklists do look different for every agency. Sometimes agencies won't have these notes or comments boxes. They might take those off and see them as unnecessary. A lot of agencies are also combining discussed and demonstrated into really one column of discussed / demonstrated, like we've gone over it. And they have a column for the trainer and a column for the trainee. So your checklist might look a little bit different, but in essence, it's all the same thing where trainers are working with trainees to acknowledge the various items on their different checklists. The primary role for trainers in LEAPS is to assign and grade tests. Now, if your system has been loaded with tests, it's most likely going to be the trainers that are often assigning these tests. In order to do that, you go to the test section right here. You can see past tests that have been assigned, graded, or are waiting to be graded. But down here, you can click the Assign Test button. And as a trainer, you can assign a test to any trainees that you have been paired up to work with on the training calendar. So if you're paired up and matched up to work with them, you'll have the ability to assign a test to them. So you go ahead and you pick a test, a due date, and then you go ahead and hit assign. That test will land on the trainee's dashboard, which is where they see time-sensitive tasks that they need to acknowledge or work on. So those tests will appear on their dashboard, indicating to them that they need to take the test. And you can see them right here. These are the two that we just assigned, and they're pending, which means they have not yet been fully taken and submitted. If you made a mistake, you can delete the test, or you can go actually view the test as well. Down below, we see some tests that have already been graded, and we'll take a look at grading one right now. So I see that I have two that are needing to be graded, and if I go to my dashboard, they're also sitting there as a task that I need to complete. So I'm going to go ahead and hit grade on this test, and what I see here is all of the questions, the multiple choice questions. It will show the trainee's answer and indicate if that was the correct answer. It will show the trainee's answer, and on this one they got it incorrect, and it shows the correct answer was actually C. Now the multiple choice questions actually grade themselves, so there's nothing you need to do here. You can review it obviously to know what they got wrong, but those ones you do not need to grade. The questions that are free text where the trainee had to type in an answer are the questions that you're going to need to grade. So what you can see right here is the question up at the top, the correct answer that's been loaded previously by your agency, the trainee's answer, and then you can assign how many points they receive for that question. Now, points are all something that's configured earlier in advance. You could actually have questions that are worth 5 points and you award to them 3 points. So maybe a question like, name the 5 pieces of gear that you need to be wearing when you go out on patrol, and they listed 3 out of the 5. Well, you could give partial points. But this one for today here is only showing 1 point per question. So we will mark some of them as correct and some of them as incorrect. Now at this point, I can submit this test, and it's removed from my dashboard. So now I have only one test left to grade here. And if I go into the testing section, it was one of these. Maybe it was this one right here. We graded this, and now the grade is available for this test, and that grade is visible by the trainee. Most systems are not configured to give the trainee access to go back and view which questions they got wrong. That would be something they need to do to work with their trainer to go back and review the questions that they got wrong. Most often we set it up so that the trainees cannot see the answers. But you would then go ahead and grade this last one. And on these top 2 ones, we are waiting for the trainee to take the test. So keep in mind as you're building tests that if you create a test that is all multiple choice, the tests will actually grade themselves instantly when the trainee submits them. So they'll get an instant grade, and there will be nothing that you as a trainer or higher up have to grade manually in terms of free text questions.